Network.
It is a gorgeous Tuesday evening here in Toronto. Rogers Center has the roof open, and why not? It is time for baseball as the Yes Network presents New York Yankees baseball tonight. It's the New York Yankees against the Toronto Blue Jays in the middle game of a three-game set from Rogers Center in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Yankees baseball, along with Al Leiter and Ken Singleton. I'm Michael Kay. Well, the Yankees lost the first game of this three-game set 4-2 last night. So let's take a look at the playoff picture up to the second. And it's brought to you by your local Chevy dealer. The Yankees are 3 back in the loss column for the American League East title behind the Blue Jays, but they have a comfortable lead for the first wild card, 3 games ahead of the Astros. The Astros are good for the second wild card, 3 games ahead of the Twins, and 3.5 ahead of the Angels. So the Yankees now are putting a lot of faith in an important second game in a 21-year-old by the name of Luis Severino. And Al, Joe Girardi before the game gave him a big compliment, said temperament-wise, he reminds him of Andy Pettitte.
Wow, that's a huge compliment. I'll tell you what, Severino, his last start against Toronto was not good. He gave up 6 runs. He's a fastball pitcher with a slider and changeup. I am curious, early in this game, will he get that pitch over? Here against Tampa Bay, in a shutout into the 6th inning, he ended up giving up 1 run in the 5 1/3 innings. Tell you what, he's got to use his breaking ball and changeup earlier in this game.
All right, so that's one half of the pitching matchup. Here's the entire pitching matchup brought to you by People's United Bank NA. See what know-how can do for you. Severino's 4-3. Marco Estrada is going to go for the Blue Jays 13-8, 3.14. And Kenny, for Estrada, it's kind of been a mixed bag with Estrada and the Yankees.
Well, this is a deal that the Blue Jays made with the Milwaukee Brewers over the winter, bringing Estrada here to Toronto. He's done a pretty good job looking for his 14th win tonight. Primarily fastball, changeup, curveball pitcher. One of the bugaboos for him over the years, giving up the home run, the long ball. And the Yankees have touched him up several times this year. In fact, his record against the Yankees is not that good. So maybe the Yankees can even up this series tonight if they can hit a few out of the ballpark.
Well, he's faced the Yankees enough. They certainly know what he throws. So this season he's faced them 4 times, 1-2, 4.09, 22 innings, walked 7, struck out 14. The Yankees as a team hitting .241 against him. So a battle for first place here at Rogers Center. The stars are out tonight. When we come back, lineups, first pitch, baseball, Yankees, Blue Jays next right here on Yes. Fighting cancer, precision is everything. Call 844-2-RADIATION-DOC. By Honda. The Honda for You sales event is happening now. Hurry in today. And by RE/MAX. Nobody sells more real estate than RE/MAX. Another sellout crowd here at Rogers Center filing in on a beautiful Tuesday evening. The roof is open again as it was last night. The Blue Jays have taken the field, so why don't we take a look at the Yankees starting lineup, which is presented by Lexus. Jacoby Ellsbury in center field will lead off, batting second, and playing left, Brett Gardner. The DH is Alex Rodriguez. He'll bat third. Cleaning up the catcher, Brian McCann. Carlos Beltran's in right field will bat fifth. Batting sixth, playing first base, Greg Bird. Chase Headley at third base will bat seventh. Batting eighth, playing second base, Dustin Ackley. And they've dropped Didi Gregorius to the bottom of the lineup. The shortstop will hit ninth.
On the mound, Marco Estrada, the 32-year-old right-hander, was a 6th-round draft pick in 2005 by the Nationals at a Long Beach State. You see his numbers. This is a very good year for him. The 13-8, very respectable 3.14 ERA. Let's take a look at the pitcher scatter report. Brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. I mentioned it. This is a career year. He's got the 26 starts, 13-8, the very low ERA. The batting average against, lowest in the American League at 206. What you got to know about this pitcher tonight, he's got a great changeup. It is his out pitch to righties and lefties. He doesn't throw that hard. He's going to be right at about 90 miles an hour, but his changeup is as good as anybody in baseball, to the tune of a 188 batting average against. He throws it the third most in Major League Baseball. And David Price, but yeah, ... Where would they be without Marco Estrada? He started in the bullpen. He's now starting since the All-Star break, a minimum of 60 innings. He's got the second lowest ERA to David Price in the American League. He's had a heck of a year.
Game 2 of this 3-game set. The Blue Jays won 4-2 yesterday. Price gave them 7 innings. The Yankees threatened against Price once and then against the bullpen in the 8th inning, but couldn't get enough done. So they lose the game by a score of 4-2. Jacoby Ellsbury had 2 hits last night and an RBI, 2 for 4. He steps in. He's ready. Estrada is ready. And let's do it here in Toronto. First pitch is outside, and we're underway. Chad Fairchild, the home plate ump. Jim Reynolds at first. Jim Joyce, the crew chief, at second. And Greg Gibson is over at third. Ellsbury with a 5-game hitting streak. And now he has a 6-game hitting streak, as that one is rifled into the corner in right field. Bautista gets the ball in quickly, but a leadoff double for Jacoby Ellsbury.
Well, it appears Ellsbury is getting hot at the right time down the stretch for the Yankees, leading things off. And when he and Gardner get going, now Gardner is not as hot as Ellsbury right now. Michael mentioned the fact now he has a 6-game hitting streak, now at second base in scoring position. So the Yankees are in business right away. It's up to Gardner to at least get him over to third base in this situation.
Ellsbury now has a 12-game hitting streak here at Rogers Center. He has 21 hits and 47 at-bats. So here's Brett Gardner. 3 hits in his last 27 at-bats.
The Blue Jays at the corner are looking for a possibility of a bunt here.
High fly ball to Pilar. Tagging is Ellsbury. Pilar has a pretty good arm. He makes the catch, and Ellsbury just bluffs as Gomez cuts the ball off. So Gardner does not move Ellsbury over. Let's take a look at the Blue Jays defense presented by Geico. Revere, Pilar, and Bautista left to right in the outfield. Infield, Donaldson, Goins, Kawasaki, and Smoke. That's third to first. Navarro's behind the plate, and Estrada is on the mound.
We talk about productive outs, and there early in the game, if you could force the opposing team, get some early runs. Gardner didn't certainly want to fly out the center, but pull the right side, get Ellsbury to third.
Here's Alex. Pitch outside.
Strada's last start came against the Atlanta Braves, and he was excellent in that game. The Blue Jays actually won down in Atlanta by a score of 5-0. Strada went 8 shutout innings, allowing just 3 hits. And I watched that game, and his changeup was particularly good. But one thing he did to make his fastball look better, changeup is down, like you just saw the A-Rod. He threw 2 in a row here and missed with both of them. But he would elevate his fastball, and that you said, Al, he doesn't throw all that hard. But when you have the changeup down, fastball upstairs, it makes the fastball look that much faster. And he passed several Braves hitters with fastballs up in the zone.
Let's see if Alex gets a fastball here. 2-0 count.
Now back.
Exactly what you're talking about, Kenny. Slow, 76, 77-ish for his changeup. That's 87, slightly above the belt, down the middle. Probably looks 95.
Yeah, couldn't get to it.
Yana Navarro, his catcher, has got a good relationship. He's got a great ERA with Estrada.
2-1. Another fastball. This one's up and in.
Yeah, speaking of Navarro, when the Blue Jays signed Russell Martin, he wasn't particularly happy because he knew his playing time would be cut. But he gets to catch Estrada on a regular basis. And Russell Martin gets Price. And I think R.A. Dickey most of the time.
3-1. 3-2.
It's a changeup.
A-Rod had a rough night last night, 1 for 4 with 3 strikeouts.
See the changeup grip.
Great pitch. Looks just like a fastball coming out of the hand.
Foul back.
There's a fastball at 90, and Alex is late, and it's primarily because Estrada puts hitters in between. They try and slow themselves down so they can stay back on the changeup, and then they're not quick enough on the fastball. If you try to be quick enough on the fastball, then you're much too quick for the changeup. So you're caught in between.
And the 3-2. A-Rod works a walk. Runners on first and second, 1 out. Brian McCann coming up. Let's look at the game time weather presented by Bigelow Tea. As we mentioned, a beautiful day here in Toronto, 66 degrees, 6 miles per hour wind. Couldn't the humidity have also been 66, but just 67. It's mostly clear and cool. Because the nickname for Toronto now is the 6. It's from a Drake song. Because there's 2 main area codes that have 6 in it, so they call it the 6. And there's also 6 municipalities.
Isn't Drake from Toronto?
Yes.
Yeah, he is.
Michael doing the hip hop thing.
Here's Brian McCann. There's that change.
Well, you get some funky swings on a very good changeup, and he can really sell his. He makes it look like a fastball. And I think one of the keys, he always seems to throw it over the plate, which makes hitters want to go for it even more. That one was right down the middle, but was it a differential in speed that made the swing and a miss possible for him?
Ellsbury at second, A-Rod's at first. 1 man out, just underway. Yankees and the Blue Jays. Line drive, base hit, down the right field line. Ellsbury rounds third. He'll score easily. A-Rod's going to go to third. McCann stops at first with an RBI single, and the Yankees are on the board. 1-0.
Well, he went to the well once too often with McCann. He threw 1 changeup and then another. He sold the first one. The second one, McCann was about to buy it right here.
You see that location, Kenny, after 0-1 count. generally speaking, the rule of thumb as a pitcher with a changeup or off-speed pitches, then you start to pitch out of the zone. That pitch was middle of the plate, pretty much belt high.
McCann now with 91 runs batted in, 3 away from his career high.
Here's Beltran. And the pitch is up and away. Blue Jays have 3 infielders on the right side for Beltran hitting from the left side. Only Donaldson between third and second. And a strike.
Blue Jays have 2 very strong arms in the outfield, Pilar in center and Bautista in right. A-Rod, of course, doesn't run like he used to, so it's going to have to take a decent fly ball to get him home from third with 1 out here in the first.
Foul back.
Carlos pulled an 0 for last night, but he's been hot. Sit safely in 38 of his last 44 games. And getting the fastball going all fields.
Check swing and a high fastball. Greg Gibson said he did not go.
Here's that elevated fastball. You can see the target from Navarro. He wants it up there. Put it up there in Beltran's eyes. Try and make him go for it. He almost bit, but you got a veteran hitter up there, nose plate discipline. Boy, he just held on too.
2-2. Fly ball left field. Revere makes the catch. Tagging is A-Rod. Here he comes. The throw will come into second. A sac fly for Beltran. The Yankees have 2 runs.
Well, Beltran gets that runner in from third with less than 2 outs. And the Yankees jump out in front by a couple here in the first inning.
That'll bring up Greg Bird. Bird with 2 outs in the 9th inning hit a solo home run to center, his 9th home run of the year. And he takes a strike. The Blue Jays shift for Bird more than most teams. They play him almost dead pull with the shortstop just to the left of, right behind second base. One and one. So was the Blue Jays yesterday with 3 runs in the first inning, and the Yankees now 2 spot on the board and still batting. Grounded and past Smoke and trickles down the right field line. Moving to third is McCann, and Bird has himself a double.
As good as Justin Smoke is at first base, I think he slipped here. His foot kind of gave way. Watch here, he's comes off the bag, or didn't see it.
He should have had that
He
one.
misplayed that. It looked like he slipped. I don't know if he thought it was going to come up or not. His head went down. I think he lost it. Here, he's not far off. He just whiffed it.
Okay, look at it in the glove. It's not there. Bautista has it now.
I put Bird down for a double. The official scorer gives an E3.
Well, I hate when that happens.
Wow.
Jeez.
Here's Chase Headley in the throes of a 2 for 26 slump. He needs a hit right here, and the Yankees could use it as well. Pad the lead for Severino.
Michael, write that E3 down in pencil.
I know you have the whiteout.
Yeah, I do, but the fact is I'd want that changed.
Two.
This little cutter in on his hands, but you can see that kind of an emergency hack. 88-mile-an-hour cut fastball.
One and two on Headley. Double by Ellsbury, a walk to A-Rod, an RBI single of McCann, a sac fly by Beltran, and an E3 on Smoke put runners on second and third, 2 outs. And Headley at the plate with a 1-2 count. Estrada deals outside, 2-2. Now, a lot of people asked me yesterday, why wasn't David Price called for a balk? He moves his leg twice in the set, and Estrada does the same thing. And the reason it's not a balk is he does it every single time. So if it's part of what you do, it's not considered a balk. If somebody did that out of the blue, it would definitely be a balk. You'll see he comes to one set, and then the front leg he moves again. There's one, and there's another. 2-2. Swing and a miss. Headley continues to struggle. He goes down on strikes. But the Yankees get 2 runs, 2 hits, and 1 error. They leave 2. Yankees 2, Blue Jays coming back. Blue Jays starting lineup he'll face, presented by your local Acura dealer. Ben Revere's in left field leading off, batting second, playing third, Josh Donaldson. Jose Bautista in right field will hit third. Cleaning up the DH, Edwin Encarnacion. Justin Smoke at first base will bat fifth, batting sixth and catching Diana Navarro. Ryan Goins, the shortstop, will bat seventh. Batting eighth, playing center field, Kevin Pillar. And Munenori Kawasaki, the second baseman, will bat ninth.
Luis Severino, the 21-year-old right-hander, be making his 9th big league start in the big leagues tonight against the Blue Jays. He's had 2 starts previously against this team. One pretty good, 6 innings, 3 runs. Another one in New York, didn't get out of the 3rd inning. You see his numbers, I'll tell you what, they'd be fantastic if he can eliminate those 2 starts. Obviously, it's part of his 8 starts. Let's take a look at the pitcher scout report, brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers. Explosive fastball. He throws an average fastball at 95.5 miles per hour. It's the 7th highest average velocity in baseball. The 9.72, I mentioned it. His ERA against Toronto, not good in those 2 starts. Everybody else, which is 6 other starts, a 1.54 ERA, exceptional. And good on the road. I know it's only 4 starts, but he's 2-1 with an ERA slightly over 2.
So he has a 2-0 lead as Revere digs in. Kenny, why do you think he struggled with the Blue Jays? Was it because he just didn't have stuff working that day, or is it a bad match for him?
Well, first of all, the Blue Jays are a very good hitting team. That could be a bad match for anybody, but I thought his location was well off in that particular, in the first inning in particular. He gave up 2 home runs. Pitches that were right there. Donaldson hit a high fastball, and that's what he hits most of this year for home runs. Fastballs up in the zone. He's going to have to change speeds, move the ball around. You talk about all the pickups that the Blue Jays have made, particularly David Price and Troy Tulowitzki. Ben Revere's done a good job since coming over from the Phillies. He's hit .317 in 46 games.
Off the glove of Headley, fielded by Gregorius, fires to first. A scoop by Bird, but not in time.
You know, this should be interesting to see how they score this play. Remember what happened with Smoke. And we'll see how they score it. Gregorius tries to make something out of it. Almost does with his strong arm, but Revere, he's got great speed.
They're going to give him a base hit.
Yeah, you see? How is that different than the ball that was hit to Smoke? Smoke didn't even touch his.
Here's Donaldson. Right back up the middle. There's 1, and there's 2. So hard hit, but the defense was set beautifully. Speaking of the defense, let's take a look at it. Presented by Geico. Gardner, Ellsbury, and Beltran left to right. Infield, Headley, Gregorius, Ackley, and Bird third to first. McCann behind the plate. Severino is on the mound.
Yeah, Ackley and Gregorius still getting used to each other. I think most second basemen might have taken this themselves, but he flips it to Gregorius, who turns it over. A little bit off kilter with the flip there. It was a little bit behind him, but Didi's very athletic, still made the play.
High fly ball, center field, off the bat of Bautista. Ellsbury makes the play, and that'll do it in the first. No runs are hit, no errors. Because of the DP, nobody left on base. We played an inning. It's 2-0 Yankees. Official hybrid vehicle of the Yankees. Do you think the atmosphere at Rogers Center has become one of the toughest for visitors to play in? Ollie, NYA Yankees, says absolutely. For the first time in decades, the place is rocking. It's a postseason atmosphere every game. Follow Yes Network Tweet us your responses using hashtag Yankees Prius. Keep the conversation going. Pitch to Ackley, a strike. Last night, it was rocking. It was very, very loud in all the high points of the game. It wasn't a steady noise, but when things got tight, it was an advantage, you would think, for the Blue Jays, as that one's fouled back 0-2.
Yeah, Michael, I thought you made a good point last night. The roof was open last night as it is tonight. If the roof was closed, it'd been even louder in here.
Grounded right side. Kawasaki fields and gets Ackley.
Well, having played here, guys, when they pack the house every single night, it definitely is re-energized here. There's no question about it. This fan base is enthusiastic. They're back. I think it was, what, 11 or 12 games in a row? The last 11 or 12 sellouts. I think it's a younger crowd. It seems more youthful, into it. It was last night.
Well, all those people that were here when you were here, Al, yeah, they're older now.
So we're all older. Good point.
Now, the downtown area in Toronto has been built up so much. When Al played here, I mean, what would you say? Hundreds of high-rise buildings have been built?
I don't know about hundreds, but I do know around here, guys, and you guys have been coming here a long time as well. There is just, it's littered. You can barely see the stadium.
And I think that to get here, it's difficult because in the first 2 innings yesterday, most of the upper deck had a lot of empty seats, and then it filled in, and it was absolutely jammed. And the Blue Jays have said all the tickets are sold, and people just have a hard time getting into the ballpark because it's so congested in this area. Yesterday, a crowd of just under 48,000, and they're expecting 48,000 tonight, 48,000 tomorrow.
So you're saying use public transportation in this area?
Don't use the Gardner Expressway. The highway out here.
Gregorius hits one hard to center field. Pilar right there.
Well, I think this is a franchise. Alex Anthopoulos, the general manager, saw a chance of taking the East, and knowing that the Yankees were in it, the Orioles looked a little off. They started fading. The Red Sox were not there, and he made the big moves. David Price, huge trade, brings in Tulowitzki, who did get hurt, kind of a quirky injury colliding into Kevin Pilar
against the Yankees.
Yeah.
And they did get some good news on Tulowitzki today. He played catch and said that he actually feels pretty good. So they're hoping to get him before the regular season ends, or at least when the postseason begins. 1-0 to Ellsbury. Fly ball left field. Revere on the run going back. It's going to be over his head and up against the wall. Revere will play. And boy, the Yankees really need a hot Ellsbury, and right now he's hot. That's 2 doubles in this game. Speaking of Tulowitzki, he is on the injury report brought to you by Montefiore Medical Center, Inspired Medicine. This is what he did in the 39 games with Toronto. He wasn't their best player, but certainly a presence. 232, 5 homers, 17 ribbies. And he is out indefinitely. But earlier this afternoon, just working out, playing catch, baby steps.
And got some work off the tee. Hitting off a tee. Gently, I guess.
Here's Brett Gardner.
You mentioned about the table setting. Boy, Ellsbury, after following an 0 for 25 skid. 450 now with the 2 knocks. 11 for his last 22.
Gardner's been struggling, but he's been one of the better Yankee hitters with runners in scoring position this season. Still over 300 in that regard. Career high 65 runs batted in for Gardner this year.
Ground ball, second base. Kawasaki gets the speedy Gardner for the final out of the second. No runs are hit, no errors, and one man left. We go to the bottom of the second. It's 2-0 Yanks.
Severino is making his third start against the Blue Jays in a little over a month, and he was asked about the last outing, which he would probably like to forget, and he was asked what he remembers most about that, and he just smiled and said it didn't last very long. Asked also what he thought the issue was, and he said he left too many balls over the middle of the plate. As you guys have already mentioned, his command was just not there. He said he learned that against a lineup like this, you can't make mistakes over the middle of the plate. Not only will they make you pay, but most likely they'll hit it out of the ballpark. That's exactly what happened. Gave up 2 home runs in that one. Left in the third inning. The Yankees trailed 6-0 in that one. But the Yankees have been very happy with Severino so far, with the exception of that start. He bounced back in the Tampa Bay start. They feel as though he's been resilient. And the thing they like most, aside from his stuff, is the fact that he seems unfazed on the mound. He's fearless. He attacks hitters and really tries to go after guys.
6-pitch first inning for Severino. He's 1-1 on Encarnacion, who swings through 96-mile-an-hour heat.
Now here's something to think about when it comes to Severino. He's made 8 starts, and he's got the 45 strikeouts, the 4th most by a Yankee pitcher through his first 8 starts in the major leagues.
Swing and a miss. He gets Encarnacion for the first out of the bottom of the second.
Now the pitcher who had the most strikeouts in his first 8 starts is Masahiro Tanaka. As we see another strikeout by Severino here, looks like a slider, down and away, and Encarnacion couldn't get it. El Duque was on that list. He had 54 strikeouts in the first 8 starts. And our very own Al Leiter, in his first 8 starts with the Yankees, 57 strikeouts. Did you know that, Al?
I did not. First 8 starts.
You had 57 Ks. That's second highest in Yankee history.
There's Justin Smoke. And there's a strike. Well, Al's first 6 outs in the big leagues against Milwaukee were all strikeouts.
Yeah, well, he was off to a good start.
Set the tone. The 0-1.
You know, Meredith is listening to Meredith about a young pitcher, and certainly Severino. The goods are there. 96, 97, average velocity over 95. You learn as you go, and there's no doubt about it. What he's doing now is going to be slightly different as you continue to pitch. A little slider there.
Gregorius. You score that as 6-3, although essentially a ground ball to second.
And when you have a power arm like Severino does, and what I love about it is, and Meredith, you mentioned it about him being fearless. He's 100% convicted behind what Brian McCann calls. Very seldom, if ever, you're going to watch him shake. So there's a great relationship there. And the more he learns about off-speed pitches and maybe have the ability with good arm speed to take a little more velocity off, I mean, I think this guy's a limit. I really do, guys, barring injury. His separation of his slider and changeup, he throws those hard as well. I mean, they're in the upper 80s, 89-ish. And with a fastball 95, that separation isn't that great. But you'll see that as he continues to improve and make more pitches and more games in the big leagues.
Tap left side, fielded by Headley, and he gets Navarro for the final out of a 1-2-3 inning. So Severino through 2 leads 2-0. Yankees take on the White Sox on Sunday, September 27th, and the first 10,000 guests 14 and younger in attendance are going to receive a limited edition Yankee Stadium exclusive tie beanie buddy named Cleats. For tickets, log on to Yankees.com, visit the Yankee Stadium ticket window, Yankees clubhouse shops, or call Ticketmaster at 877-469-9849. A-Rod leads off. Scored a run in the first inning, giving him 1,999 for his career. And he takes a strike on the outside corner. Audi A3 scoreboard 2-0. The Yankees lead.
So you're saying he was partying like it's 1999?
He wants to get out of that party, though, and go to 2000. He wants R2K.
Well, he could take care of that with one swing of the bat.
3-1. One thing we've seen from A-Rod this year is even when he's struggling, people walk him. He takes his walks. That's how he got on in the first.
Should get something pretty decent right here.
Fouled away. Got a fastball.
Yeah. Had to reach for it a little bit. think because he's leading off the inning, the chances of him getting a fastball on 3-1 were heightened a bit. Because the pitcher doesn't want to walk you to get things started. That's what you think about when you're up there hitting. Another fastball. Another elevated fastball.
About 5 rows back.
Well, you see a good approach from Alex. I think here's a guy, Estrada, that's not going to blow it by you in the sense of 95 or better. So they're always, the hitters are conscious of the changeup. You see he's fighting that off. It looks like he's late, but got to still respect. Now he's starting to throw that curveball. Estrada is. He first pitched to Alex. Still has that changeup.
High fly ball. Fairly shallow right. Bautista is there. 1 away.
And 2-0 count here. Estrada going more to his fastball after getting hit with his changeup.
Yeah, he doubled up on the changeup to McCann, and McCann sat on the second one and hit it like he called for it himself.
Green light him, and he wraps one into left center field. Long run for Pilar, and he makes the play on the run. Boy, he covered a lot of real estate to haul that in.
Yeah, he was playing McCann over towards right center, but Pilar, an excellent job. See him take a look and see where Revere is. Revere riding off in another direction, as Pilar is going to make the play here. Rivera backing him up just in case. He's got 10 assists. You were talking about his arm, Michael. He's a good all-around outfielder.
Kevin Pillar's a good story. 32nd round by the Blue Jays. Now getting a chance to play every day. He's done a nice job.
Hit sharply and a base hit for Beltran. So a sac fly in the first and a single here with 2 outs in the third.
What'd you say, Al? Now he's hit 39 of his last 45 games. Beltran been very, very solid for the Yankees over a quarter of the season.
Here's Greg Bird. Reached on an E3 in the first. Should have been a double, but the official score saw it differently. One and one.
Estrada just missed Greg Bird's happy zone. Had a good swing at that one.
One and two.
Coming right at him. That's the doubt when you have a good secondary pitch as Estrada does. There's a slight doubt. You look for it, but 90 still is hard enough to get it by him.
Once again, an elevated fastball, trying to get a partial swing. Maybe a hitter go around too far. This guy's become a pretty good pitcher. He knows he doesn't have the greatest of fastballs, but he knows how to use it.
Swing and a miss. Bird down on strikes. No runs to hit. No errors and 1 man left. They go to the bottom of the 3rd inning. It's 2-0 Yankees. Cadillac dealers. Visit CadillacTristate.com for exceptional offers. By Hotel Transylvania 2 in theaters Friday. And by Mazda. Driving matters. Just a beautiful night in Toronto. Yankees lead 2-0. And it became a better night for Greg Bird. And it means it's a night we're having to borrow Kenny Singleton's whiteout. They came to their senses, Kenny, and gave Bird a double in the 1st inning, took away the E3.
Just a second, Michael, I'm using it.
And that was the right call.
Yeah, it was.
Audi A3 scoreboard, 2-0 Yankees. Bottom 3rd of the order against Severino. Here's Goins. And a strike.
Goins has primarily been known as a solid defender. He's only made 2 errors in his last 96 games. But since he's gotten a chance to play a little bit more, he's contributing offensively. His last 40 games, he's hitting 290. Severino showing some quickness off the mound.
Making sure that ball stays foul with going speed. With Tulowitzki's down with the cracked rib or upper back. Goins normally second base. Great glove. He's done a nice job filling in at shortstop.
Kawasaki getting the start at second. We saw Pennington last night. Both of them are known for their glove work. .97-mile-an-hour fastball. It just looks like he's got nice, free and easy and smooth delivery. And boom, here it comes.
Sounds like a broken bat. Ground ball back to Severino. 1 out.
Yeah, there it goes.
Firewood. Yeah, it's late whip at the end. This is 97. He wanted away, but on him.
That's arm speed, right? Just when you get to the top,
You know, there's not, as you say, Kenny, to watch his delivery is very smooth and rhythmic, nice tempo, not much to it, just a little leg kick, and then bazooka.
Strike to Pilar.
87. That's not his issue. You know, so far, I mean, the Blue Jay hitters are aggressive, but he's shown some nice sliders, a couple good changeups. There's a slider there, 87.
Just think that used to be you, Al.
Not 97.
Mid-90s, I would guarantee.
Yeah, I think I have.
Fouled away.
I was there when you started the 7th game of the World Series.
Down in Florida.
Yeah.
You were doing the game?
Yeah, I was. Major League Baseball International. You didn't get the win, but the Marlins did.
Game 7. You dream of it in the backyard, or at least I did.
When you think about it, that was a strange World Series. One of the games in Cleveland, it was snowing like it was mid-January. That was freezing.
Drill, left field. See ya. A bullet home run by Pilar. And the Blue Jays are on the board. Yankees 2, Blue Jays 1.
Well, the number 8 hitter, Kevin Pilar, really no more for his glove. His 11th home run on the year. Got a 2-2 fastball right down the middle. Watch here with this fastball. You see McCann wanted it away, leaped back over the plate. Middle, up, out, over. Severino really supplying the power there with the 97. Pilar keeping his hands inside. Barrel it up.
Kawasaki with a big swing and a miss.
Sure got it.
He knew it too. Kawasaki spent most of the year in a AAA Buffalo.
Character. Funny guy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy. Yeah.
Usually number 9 hitters
don't swing like that.
Don't swing like that. I mean, Reggie can do this.
How about with 0 home runs and he's batting .211? There's a changeup. Pulled the string. Swing harder.
That one he taps out to short. Gregorius for the second out.
Well, the fans here in Toronto do love Kawasaki's energy. But keep swinging like that. Buffalo's not that far away.
Their season's over.
Yeah, I know, but you know, Buffalo will be there next year too.
Revere takes a strike. Singled off the glove of Headley in the first inning. Oh and 2.
89 mile an hour changeup. As hard as Marco Estrada's fastball. Severino 97-89. Now you go a couple places upstairs, elevate higher than high with your fastball. Come back with that slider.
Grounded to second. Ackley is there, and that'll do it. But the Blue Jays get on the board. A solo home run by Kevin Pilar. We played 3 here in Toronto. It's 2-1 Yankees. data strong fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. 3 innings in the book. Middle game of this 3-game set. Yankees up 2-1 on the Lincoln scoreboard. And Chase Headley, trying to find it, leads off. Bottom third of the Yankee order. He struck out in the first inning with runners on second and third. Fly ball, right field. Bautista, 1 pitch, 1 out.
Yeah, last pitch to Headley was a prime example of a hitter being in between. He made a pretty good pass at it, but he didn't get his best swing because he was a little out in front. Had the trajectory leaving the bat like it looked like it had a chance, but he didn't hit it all that well. He was out in front. Can be frustrating when you are not hitting. You have to find other ways to help the team, whether it's primarily on defense or when you do get on base, you make all the right moves base running. I've been in that the boat that Headley's been in right now.
What'd you do to get out of it?
Well, first of all, I try and concentrate, hit the ball back through the middle. You know, don't try and do too much. I would take a broken bat single just to get things positively running through my mind that, you know, maybe it's starting to turn the other way.
Ground ball, Smoke takes it himself, 2 away.
So it is just that moment. Right?
Yeah, it's just concentrating on making solid contact. Eventually, they can't catch them all. Let's put it that way. One of them's going to fall in. And in particular, if you get a hit that drives in a run, then you really start feeling a little bit better about yourself.
Game's mental.
Yeah, it is. Yogi was right.
What do you say? 90% of the game is half mental.
Exactly.
Here's Didi. And there's a strike.
Michael, we were doing the games in Tampa Bay when Ellsbury, it was a shift, remember, and he just kind of poked it out through the shifted hole, and that started this little run for him over the last 5 games, now 6 games. He was 0 for 25 at that point, and it was just kind of a little off the end of the bat squibbler.
Yeah, when you start to get around 0 for 10, that's when you start thinking, well, this is not going well.
Now, speaking of Yogi, this date's an important date in his career. He made his major league debut in 1946 on this date. And he was 2 for 4 with a 2-run home run, a 4-3 win in game 1 of a doubleheader against Philadelphia.
And that started it all, huh?
We know Yogi's watching, watches every game. Hope you're doing well, Yogi. Fly ball, left center, long run for Pilar, but he makes it look easy. Runs it down for the final out of a 1-2-3 inning. We go to the bottom of the 4th. It's 2-0, 2-1 Yanks. He leads with 120. His teammate Jose Bautista is third. His teammate Edwin Encarnacion is fifth. So that makes a very difficult 2-3-4 for any pitcher to navigate, and that's the 2-3-4 in the Blue Jays lineup. Donaldson takes outside 1-0. Lincoln scoreboard 2-1. Yankees over Toronto. Donaldson did not just become a star in an eye blink. It took a long time. He struggled for a long time. And he said, I enjoy playing well, he said, because there was a time when I was the worst player in the major leagues. He said, I did so many things wrong, but he worked hard, got to this point, and now he's got a good chance to win the American League MVP. Also a guy that teammates say when you play against him, you hate him, you think he's cocky, you think he's a jerk. And then when you play on the same team, you realize what a great guy he is, and that's just his persona. He'll tell his teammates, somebody has to be a star today. Why not you? Drive the bus today. He tries to motivate them in the clubhouse. 1-2.
He had some pretty good years in Oakland before he came over here. 2 years ago, 24 home runs, 93 runs batted in. Last year, 29 home runs, 98 runs batted in. But this year he has well surpassed those totals.
And if he plays in the remainder of the Blue Jays games this year, he'll play in 160 games. So he goes to the post all the time. And in this day and age in baseball, you see so many guys get that rest day game after night game, or after an off day to have 2 games off in a row. And there's his resume. Went to Auburn, first round pick of the Cubs in 07. 2-time All-Star. Fly ball down the left field line. Fair ball. It's tie game. And it's a foul ball.
I hear what you're saying, Michael, about the attitude of perhaps not liking him when you play against him. This is a fastball that was in, just foul. And I don't know, Kenny, I don't know, guys, how many star players that you know or watch that don't have a swagger. There's a swagger to almost every great player. Now, some of it is less vocal or less obvious. He does have that. He's got that look. He's not afraid to say things.
I like to call it confidence. You walk on the field with confidence every night, and you could be the difference.
Donaldson walks, and that fly ball would not have left the ballpark if it was fair. Didn't carry as well as I thought. And it's funny you mentioned that, guys, because Johnny Gomes, when he became an A's player, all the other A's, this guy's a jerk. So he followed him around a while, and he just said, no, this guy's a superstar. That's how superstars act. And he just had that way about him even before the numbers proved that he was a superstar.
I think it's kind of fresh because most guys are afraid to show any emotion.
The whole thing, I think, with other players on other teams, if you show a certain amount of respect for the opponents, I think you'll be all right, no matter what kind of swagger you have. If you are friendly on the field, you don't have to go out and, just pass somebody in the field, you say hello.
Bautista hits one deep to right center. And a nice play by Beltran to take away an extra base hit as Donaldson goes back to first. So Beltran, who has struggled in right field, ran that one down and, at least for the moment, saved Severino's bacon.
Yeah, this one had some air time, so it gave him a chance to get back to the wall and make this nice over-the-shoulder catch. And Ron Bautista have an extra base hit. We mentioned Bautista doesn't hit many in that direction, especially for home runs. He's hit only 9 opposite field home runs during his major league career. He's actually hit 2 at Yankee Stadium, only 1 here at Rogers Center.
Here's Encarnacion. If you want more on Donaldson, really good story by Ken Rosenthal, FoxSports.com, really details how he's won over teammates throughout his career. I just didn't think he was a good guy, but he can play. Also an interesting offseason for Billy Beane, who's so highly respected around baseball. He traded Donaldson. He traded Yoenis Cespedes. Traded Addison Russell. Those are 3 great players he traded.
All 3 of them are going to end up in the playoffs.
That one gets away from McCann, allowing Donaldson to go to second.
And if I'm McCann, I'm going to go out and talk to Severino here now. Just try and settle him down a little bit. Doesn't look like he's going to do so, but this wild pitch moves Donaldson into scoring position with one out. Got a tough hitter at the plate.
I wouldn't give in here. That was a 2-0 changeup. Now here he is sitting 3-0.
Yeah, he might have the green light.
I'll tell you, if you're throwing a fastball, have a purpose, something down and away. Slider, 3-0.
Nasty.
Well, that's telling you right there. He was going for it. Watch this right here. Off the center, break, middle, out front. Couldn't hold up. It was a strike anyway.
(3-1). 97 dialed it up and threw it by him. 3-2.
3-0 slider and then 97 by him. Foot goes down. Encarnacion upstairs down the middle. That's some heat.
Where you go, Al?
I'm going with that slider.
Ground ball to third. Headley, the long throw. 2 away as Donaldson stays put at second.
Well, that slider and changeup. It wasn't the fastball. Looked like it backed up a little bit and stayed inside. Rough out here. Let's take a look here. It looks, yeah, slider spin that ended up spinning inside and ended up jamming him. Sometimes a backup slider ended up working, and it did there.
You know, I'm just thinking about what you said, Michael, facing Donaldson, Bautista, and Cornette. That's got to be an exhausting inning for a pitcher, even if you get him out. I mean, since the All-Star break, or since August 1st, these three guys have hit 44 home runs between them.
And that in itself is more than 6 teams combined, all their players.
1-1 to Smoke. Hit sharply and past a diving bird into right field. Here comes the throw. It's cut off by Severino. He throws to second. And they get Smoke for the final out of the inning. But Donaldson scores on the single by Smoke, and that'll tie the game at 2. Donaldson walked, moved to second on a wild pitch, and scored on this bullet that got past Greg Bird. We go to the 5th. It's a 2-2 game on yes. it stayed in the ballpark and went over the line. So back here in Toronto, we go to the 5th inning, and it's a 2-2 game on the Smoke single past Greg Bird. And Smoke ended the inning trying to go to second, and he was thrown out by Severino on the throw to Gregorius. So 9-1-6 is how you would score that. And now here's the red-hot Jacoby Ellsbury to lead off the 5th against Estrada. Ellsbury with 2 doubles tonight.
Watch this play right here, guys. You got the pitcher. Pitcher's supposed to back up. You see Severino out of position. Actually helped him. Watch here. You got the fastball. Smoked it. Gets around. You see Severino supposed to back up, and now he's in position here. I'm not sure if Brian McKinn would have made as strong a throw, but was able to get smoked because of the overthrown ball from Beltran. But he shouldn't have been there. Turned out.
That was an interesting play because he started over towards first, thinking that if Bird comes up with that ball, he's going to have to cover, which made it a little bit more difficult for him to get behind home plate. And he ended up being in the right spot anyway.
Tie ball game, 5th inning, middle game of this 3-game set. Estrada gave up 2 runs in the first. The 3-2 pulled the string, and Ellsbury down on strikes. 1 away.
I think he got tired of seeing Ellsbury hammer his fastball, so he comes in with a changeup. 3 balls and 2 strikes. Watch it on Yes Mo, brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer. It's one thing in a way, you don't expect as a hitter leading off an inning. You don't expect a 3-2 changeup. You expect to get the fastball. You can see that Ellsbury well out in front, and it shows you Estrada and the confidence he has in that particular pitch.
Here's Gardner. He's 0 for 2 tonight. And there's a strike.
Seemed like the second time through he featured his fastball a little more. Now he's going back to the changeup.
I think what makes Estrada so tough to hit, if you look at his delivery, he's really north and south, or from like 12 o'clock on the hands of a clock, and really comes through it. And I think because it's in the same arm slot, and that changeup being great arm speed, it looks just like a fastball. See, that's good plane to it. He's got from high to low, and then he's got the changeup grip. Watch here, comes out. There's a beautiful shot there, and then it's got this downward trajectory. Same when he throws his changeup. Really tough to pick up for the hitter.
Two and 2 on Gardner. A-Rod's on deck. Ground ball to short. Goins. Brett now 3 for his last 30. Here's Alex. Walked and scored the Yankees' second run in the first inning, and a fly ball to right in the third. They play in the pull. Second baseman Kawasaki shades up the middle. First pitch is grounded foul. 1-1. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Yankees, and 2 runs, 3 hits for Toronto. Yankees have left 4 runners on base. Blue Jays have not left a runner on. The 1-1. Chop, foul. Grabbed by Donaldson.
You know, you watch Estrada pitch, as we saw from Price last night. Abbreviated windups, both of them. Very little motion. They just kind of slowly they turn and then deliver.
You know, talking about that, Kenny, if you watch Estrada, it's unusual in the sense that I'm seeing more big league pitchers not take that foot back. They take it slightly to the side. Watch here. This front foot is like slightly to the side, gets his back foot in like as if though he was coming from the stretch, and then throws the ball. It's really unusual. David Price has a similar start to his delivery. You're seeing more big league pitchers not do the takeaway as you once saw with the back foot, with in this case his left foot going back. See how it goes forward, foot in the rubber, and then goes.
Fly ball, right field. Bautista will make the play, and the Yankees go down in order 1-2-3. In fact, the last 7 have gone down in order. We're halfway through. It's a 2-2 game. Bet, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, replay reviews, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcast, and more. Get MLB.com at bat now. We go to the bottom of the 5th inning here at Rogers Center, and Navarro will lead off against Severino. Navarro grounded to third. That was in the 2nd. And a strike. Bigelow T scoreboard 2-2. Bottom of the 5th. Two and one.
Yeah, Michael, that 1-1 pitch, big pitch in baseball. From 1-1 to 2-1 or 1-1 to 1-2. It's a whole different mindset.
Grounded to first. Nice play by Bird. Flips to Severino. The two kids combined for the first out.
Nice Nice play by Greg Bird. This is well struck, a 2-1 fastball, pretty much out over the plate. See Bird there's getting it. Severino doing his job, covering first. Then he ball the right side on the ground, hustle over. Nice play.
And as hard as that ball was hit, the previous turf they had here was a lot quicker than what they have now. Reaction time for infielders was cut by a bit.
And the pitch to Goins is a strike.
Nice changeup.
Well, they had to have some kind of neutralizer here for the pitchers. Yes, a good changeup. Look out. A little circle change.
You know, if it was up to pitchers, offenses would be 450 feet away.
That would be a start. Well, the ball flies.
Yeah, it does.
So you know it in the air. Got a good shot popping out of here. I think much has been said about a lot of these new buildings around here change the airflow when the roof is open.
Fly ball, shallow center coming on Ellsbury. He gets there to make the play for the second out.
Ellsbury almost fooled on that one. Took like a half a step back, realized the ball wasn't going quite as far. Probably off the end of the bat. Let's take a look here. Yep, looked like it was off the end. He took that little false step, but he's got the speed to recover and makes the play for the out.
Here's Kevin Pillar. Got the Blue Jays on the board with a bullet home run to left in the third. Takes a fastball strike, 0-1. It was Pillar's 11th home run of the year. Came with one out in the third. And a strike, 0-2.
Another one of those backup sliders that stays inside. He's got a couple pitches here ahead in the count. Throw something that looks like a strike, but off the plate. Like that.
It's like you're still out there, Al.
I wish.
I think I've said this in the past, but I'd give a lot just to hit one more out of the park. Just one more. Look out.
I wish I could say that. I'd give a lot to just make contact.
And the 1-2. 2-2.
Now he's got him set up for a slider. 2 pitches in. Finish him off. It's like fastball away. Ooh, that one really ran.
Overthrowing. The previous pitch was a changeup, almost hit him, and now this is an overthrown fastball. You start your off-speed pitch. If they start backing up, or in his case inside to the righty, stay back, finish.
Missed inside. Severino took a step toward the dugout, thinking it was strike 3. Chad Fairchild saw it differently.
That ball's up. Watch here, slider up, and it spins up and in. It's just not a pitch that he wants. See, off the plate slightly. Good call. This is just an overthrown slider. When you got 3-2 count, you throw 97. Just trust the break. Something little mediocre break going down and away.
That brings up Munenori Kawasaki. Chop foul. Got the fastball by him, 0-2. With 2 strikes, you'll see Kawasaki cut down on a swing, put the ball in play, try to use his speed. He did that last time and grounded out to short. Muni.
Most players put their number on the knob end of their bat.
Runner goes, throw to second. Stolen base for Pilar.
Pilar leads the Blue Jays in stolen bases. This is going to be his 21st of the season. As Gregorius tried to make a swipe tag. He had too good a jump. Very hard for McCann to make up the time.
He got that pitch there, Kenny.
Yeah, it's close to being a strike. Face full of dirt.
Still 1-2.
Overall, Revere has more stolen bases than Pilar, but he got quite a few of those in Philadelphia.
One, 2. Fouled away. So the go-ahead run is at second. That's Kevin Pilar. The number 9 hitter, Kawasaki's at the plate with 2 outs. Strike 3, Kawasaki down looking. A pitch on the inside corner. No runs, no hits, no errors, and 1 man left on base. We go to the 6th. We are knotted at 2.
Leads the game off with a double A-Rod walk and then a hanging changeup to Brian McCann. Greg Bird got a hit, and then he settled down. His curveball and changeup. He has settled down after those 2 runs in the first inning. He's given up 4 goose eggs through 5 of his 82 pitches after that 26 pitches in the first inning. Estrada's settling down. Severino's right there with him.
And leading off the 6th inning will be Brian McCann. See Severino 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, and Estrada's given up 5 hits. Chop to the right side, and there's 1 away. So that was to Kawasaki, so you score that a 4-3. And they have Goins playing in short right field where the second baseman would be if you lined him up properly. So
maybe the feeling is a little more range, stronger arm.
Here's Carlos Beltran, sac fly and a single, and that one is drilled deep to right field. That ball is a foul ball off the facing of the second deck.
Yeah, usually a hitter could, if you watch the hitter at the plate, it tells you if the ball's hook and foul, and Beltran didn't really start down the line, so he kind of knew that he had the distance but not the direction. And see, not this time.
One. Hit sharply to Goins. And you score that one a 6-3. Goins the shortstop. So 2 down here in the 6th, and that's going to bring up Greg Bird. Bounced up there, 1-0.
Yeah, by changing that error to a double, gives Bird a 7-game hitting streak.
One and one.
First 33 games in the major leagues, 25 runs batted in. That's impressive.
Foul ball.
Much that's said about Greg Bird, about him being calm and slowing the game down and even keeled. I got a chance to play with John Olerud up here and also with the Mets, and I see a little similarity personality wise and hitting. He'll use the line to line, Greg Bird.
Olerud didn't say all that much, did he?
Olerud was quiet. Greg Bird is quiet.
Let his bat do his talk.
And the 2-2. 3-2. Drew Hutchison is warming in the bullpen for the Blue Jays.
Kind of sneaked a fastball by him. That was his best heater of the night, 92 miles an hour on the inner half.
Also, Loop is warming, so Hutchison and Loop. Three-two. High pop-up, shallow left field. Goins makes the call and the catch for the final out of a 1-2-3 inning. So Estrada has retired the last 10 Yankees in a row as we go to the bottom of the sixth.
Four, 6-3 double play in the first inning off Donaldson, showing a good slider, good fastball. Kevin Pillar in the third inning, a solo home run, made it 2-1 at the time. He gave up another run. I think is an off-speed pitch, that little slider right there to Kawasaki to end the fifth. A combination of some good sliders and changeups to complement that 97-mile-an-hour fastball, locked in a 2-2 game here at the bottom of the sixth.
21-year-old rookie has stepped up big time in a big game for the Yankees after losing the first game of this three-game set, as their stated desire is to finish first in the American League East. These are big games, and the kid has answered the bell. Count 0-1. Top of the order for the Blue Jays against Luis Severino. Justin Wilson is up. The bullpen is well rested in terms of the back end, the ones that Joe Girardi trusts the most. You've got Wilson, Betances, and Miller all ready to roll. Count 2-1.
Blue Jays are not what I would call a big running team. They rely mostly on their power. But Revere is one of those guys you want to keep off base. He can make things happen along with Pilar.
Driven into left center. Ellsbury got a good jump to haul it in for the first out.
Well, both center fielders covering a lot of ground, closing that gap in left center. We've seen Pilar do it a couple of times. Now it's Ellsbury's turn. Good jump, as Michael said. Made it look fairly easy as he hauled it in.
Here's Josh Donaldson, wrapped into a double play in the first, walked and scored the Blue Jays' second run in the fourth. Chopped to third. Headley, the long throw. Got him. 2 outs.
Strong throw from Headley. First pitch swinging. Donaldson gets his slider, chops it off home plate. Headley gets on top, makes sure. Good strong throw across the diamond to get Donaldson by a step.
Here's Bautista. And he waves at that first pitch. And Jim Reynolds says, yes, he did. 0-1.
When you think about Bautista, you should think about how many organizations had a chance to keep this guy on their team, and he's bounced around quite a bit. He's definitely found a home here in Toronto. I mean, he started out with Pittsburgh, went to Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Kansas City. The Mets had him for a while. He never played for the Mets. Back to Pittsburgh, and now here to Toronto, where he's become a fixture and one of the most popular players. And one year he got the most All-Star votes of any player in the league.
When you say he found a home, boy, did he ever. 54 home runs in 2010, 43 in 2011.
So Bautista walks. And that'll bring up Encarnacion. Encarnacion struck out in the second, grounded to a third in the fourth. Rip foul.
Yeah, most of this season, Encarnacion's been bothered by an injured middle finger on his left hand. And if you look at it, you can see how its fingers are taped together. I was going to ask him to look at it before the game, then I thought better of it. By taping those two fingers together, I guess it protects the one that's injured. Every once in a while he'll take a swing and you can see that try and hold on to the bat, it bothers him.
Grounded foul. Oh, a nice play. Guy brought a glove and hauled in that ground ball. Oh, yeah. Full extensions.
No cone.
And what does Rex Barney say?
Give that man a contract.
And late Rex Barney.
Just missed outside. Two and two.
Showing a big dose of sliders. Got him out twice on sliders. Struck him out in his first at bat. And got a ground ball to third base in the fourth inning. So if he goes to the well again, 3 is a slider.
This could be his last pitch.
I'm thinking it is, Michael, with smoke. We got Wilson ready. Best pitch of the night if you're Severino.
Runner will go. Bautista from first. Crowd getting into it. And the payoff. He struck him out. And Severino pumped up as he moves off the mound. Encarnacion could not lay off the slider. We go to the 7th. It's a 2-2 game.
And you see Encarnacion, he could not let up. It was perfect location. He wanted to get the RBI, and I'll tell you what, when you get a middle of the lineup guy that wants to swing, hard to lay off. Good pitch.
Chase Headley leads off the 7th, and the pitch is up and away 1-0.
Betcha. Probably his last pitch. There you go. Yes, it was. Gets a very good Blue Jay lineup.
Count 1-1. And that one is looped to right field. Right there with the shift is Goins. One away. Well, as promised earlier in the game, we've selected the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Tweet your strongest fan photo to hashtag #YesDataStrongFan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. DF Masked. That looks like the beginning of a sitcom. I love that picture. Join the Yankee fans next on Yes. Great shot. Here's Dustin Ackley.
Blue Jay bullpen is busy. Estrada's next pitch will be number 100.
Bounced up there.
Season high. And he was 129. That was the game he had a no-hitter.
It's hard for a manager to take you out when you got a no-hitter going. Although don't tell that to David Cone. Joe Torre took him out, didn't he?
Right.
And a walk to Ackley.
4-pitch walk in this game right here is a sign of me getting a little tired.
And you can see John Gibbons get a little closer to that step that will lead to the field. They broke a streak of 11 in a row, retired.
Pitch outside to Gregorius.
This is a trip out to the mound to give the bullpen a little more time, although they should be ready, both of them.
This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the New York Yankees. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the New York Yankees. That trip to the mound allowed us to get a disclaimer. One and one. Estrada's season high in pitches 129. But that was back on June 24th. Foul ball, 1-2.
Gregorius hit the ball pretty well twice, but each time Pilar has run it down in left center field. So 2 good at bats and nothing to show for it.
Time call. There's the breakdown of the 105 pitches. Rip foul into the seats. Didi has hit 2 fly balls to center, and he is 3 for his last 26. And a little bit of a slide. He's been dropped to 9th in the order tonight. And there's a base hit for Gregorius. Ackley's going to go for third. Here's the throw from Bautista. It's high, and Ackley's in there. And moving to second is Gregorius. And Bautista on his back in right field. John Gibbons wants to take a look at the replay.
Well, this is when you take a chance. With 1 out, you're trying to get to third base. He airmails this in the air, and the throw is high, and that might have been the difference. Donaldson had to go up to get it. You can see Joe Espada thinking that the runner is safe, and the third base umpire makes the call. Wow. And they're going to look this one over. Here's another look. Donaldson up, turns, slaps the tag down. Did he actually touch him? Third base umpire is Greg Gibson, who makes his call. This is going to be a close play.
Did the foot get in before the glove got to the spikes? Crowd is reacting to what they're seeing on the big board in center field. Are they seeing with their hearts or their eyes? The umpires have to see with their eyes. We'll see if they overturn it.
Well, the umpire was in good position to make the call. It's just a matter of whether you made the right one or not. I think you're going to be a while before you get this one.
Remember, to overturn a call, it has to be conclusive. Right. Was that conclusive?
They keep showing the same replay on the jumbotron here. They go bananas. But you're right, Michael. It has to be clear and conclusive, as you said. There's a couple shots they're showing up on the board here that looks favorable to the Blue Jays.
This is not an easy one to overturn, everybody. If he was called out there, it wouldn't be easy to overturn for safe. It's that type of call that they're looking at back in New York right now. What a play by Donaldson to go high and then come back and slap the tag right there. And he's out. They overturned it.
So Bautista gets his pound of flesh and picks up another assist. But you're right, the play was on the other end. He made a strong throw. As you look at this on Yes Mo, brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealer. It looks like he was out on that one as we slow it down. But it was Donaldson who, if he had turned the other way, he would not have gotten Ackley.
They're going to intentionally walk Ellsbury and take their chance with Gardner.
Well, as hot as Ellsbury's been, and conversely Gardner has not. Going with the percentages.
Let's take a wide perspective of that whole play.
First of all, solid line drive. And that's going to cut down the amount of time that Ackley has to get to third. Here's the throw, airmail, and here's Donaldson's turn. He turns clockwise to make the tag, as opposed to counterclockwise. He would have never got it. And looks like he's out.
Great play by Donaldson, and a strong but high throw by Bautista. They intentionally walk Ellsbury. Estrada gets a huge hand as the Blue Jays make the Verizon call to the bullpen to bring in a lefty to face Gardner. Fios leaves slow internet behind. Get Fios. Ivan Nova gets a start replacing Masahiro Tanaka, who's battling a hamstring issue, against Marcus Stroman. Our coverage on Yes begins at 6. First pitch will be right around 7:10. Estrada, the night is done, but he leaves runners on first and second with 2 outs, and they bring in Aaron Loop. And crystallizing right here is the struggles of late of Brett Gardner. The first time all year that Ellsbury's been intentionally walked, and they intentionally walk him to bring in the lefty to face Gardner. So let's see if Gardner can step up and answer.
And in addition to that, Michael, 1 for 10 career against Luke Gardner is. So the matchup is what the Blue Jays are looking at.
First and second, 2 outs, top of the 7th, 2-2 game, and Luke does the inside move to chase Gregorius back to second. So DD at second, Ellsbury at first. Yankees have speed on the bases and speed at the plate. Gardner's 0 for 3 and 3 for his last 30. And a strike.
Luke had struggled enough during the year that the Blue Jays actually sent him to the minor leagues. Made 5 appearances down in Buffalo, but now back in the big leagues.
Long set and the 0-1. 1-1. On deck, Alex Rodriguez. Runners lead. The 1-1. Missed outside, 2-1.
We mentioned the strong arms in the Jays outfield, but with 2 outs, you're off with the crack of the bat. As far as Gregorius is concerned at second, and same thing applies to Ellsbury at first.
Grounded off of Loop, and it kicks out to Goins. Everybody is safe. An infield single for Gardner. Good play by Goins to stop that ball from trickling into the outfield. That saved the run. So John Gibbons will now call on a right-hander to face A-Rod. Bases loaded. 2 outs. 2-2 game, top of the 7th. PeoplesUC.com. By People's United Bank NA, putting the power of know-how to work for you. And by your Tri-Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2015 models. A nail-biter here at Rogers Center in front of a sellout crowd of about 48,000. The Yankees have the bases loaded in a 2-2 game, top of the 7th. And Liam Hendriks will come on to face Alex Rodriguez.
Power arm, Liam Hendriks. Got him from the Twins. He'll rush the ball up there in the upper 90s.
One time the Twins were using him as a starting pitcher.
He's faced him 3 times, Alex has, and he's got 1 hit. Gets the fastball by him. Alex walked and scored in the first, 2 fly balls to right against Estrada. The runners on second and third, Estrada's responsibility. Gardner at first, the responsibility of Loop. The 0-1. 0-2.
Nothing fancy thus far, just 2 fastballs.
Swing and a miss. A-Rod down on strikes. Hendriks pumped up. And Rogers Center is about ready to burst as Alex leaves the bases loaded. It's time for the stretch. Everybody's standing anyway. We go to the bottom of the 7th. Two 7-0 for the Yankees, 2-3-0 for the Blue Jays. McCann, an RBI single in the first inning. Pilar, a solo home run in the third. Smoke, an RBI single in the fourth. And that's the scoring in this game. And the game is now in the hands of the bullpen as Severino's night is done. A lot of people standing at this ballpark on the strikeout by A-Rod. as the Yankees turn it over to Justin Wilson. And he will face Justin Smoke. Rip foul. '69th game for Wilson. You see the numbers: 62 strikeouts in 55 1/3 innings. The 0-1. Hit sharply to Gregorius. Fields on the glove side, and they get smoked. Let's go back to the studio. Bob Lorenz with an update. What a year for Jake Arrieta. That'll bring up Navarro against Wilson with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th. And a strike.
I think Arrieta's ERA is like under half a run over the last 20 so starts.
Yeah, since the All-Star break, I think the only guy in between him and the Cy Young is Zach Greinke. As good as he's been, it's going to come down to those two, I believe.
Switch hit and catch Navarro at the plate. This side of the plate, he likes the ball up. Hit a home run against Boston on Sunday on a high fastball.
Good job Justin Wilson's done for the Yankees this year. He's all relievers with appearances. Just he's done the job. Not only just coming in to get lefties out, lefties and righties. It's his 69th appearance.
Popped up. Hadley with the call and the catch.
There was no doubt where Justin Wilson was going. I said about traffic cop. He said, forget that. I'm getting out of Dodge. Last night we saw David Price catch a fly ball pop-up because of the shift.
History in the making in Detroit. The Tigers are 3 outs away from a combined no-hitter against the White Sox. And it's interesting to note because the guy who started the game for the Tigers, Daniel Norris, who was traded in the David Price deal, had to leave after 5 innings because of a pitch count. But he'll be part of history if they get the final 3 outs. And a nice 3-out performance by Justin Wilson as he gets going to ground to second. We're all tied at 2 as we go to the 8th inning. have that. I'd have a perfect game on my ledger. The Hyundai scoreboard 2-2, but that play that cost him the perfect game, I think, was something that was the final push for a replay.
And he, the umpire that was made the call is at second base here tonight, Jim Joyce.
They ended up writing a book together.
Here's Jim.
Hendricks still in there. He struck out A-Rod with the bases loaded. Here's Brian McCann. And there's a strike. Yankees have left 7 runners on base over the first 7 innings. The 0-1. 97 by him in the count 0-2.
Liam Hendricks has that kind of arm. He ended the inning last inning against Alex Rodriguez with a slider. He's got the here it is, hit it fastball, just reaches back and powers it through the zone.
Dellin Betances is up. Shift is on for McCann. 3 infielders on the right side. 2-2. McCann an RBI single in the first, fly ball to center in the third, grounded to second in the sixth. And the 2-2. High pop-up. Left side. Donaldson bat. Will make the play for the first out. Here's Carlos Beltran, who had a very dramatic home run for the Yankees here at Rogers Center late in the game. The last time they were in here.
That was Aaron Sanchez. Came in out of the bullpen. First man he faced was Beltran. He blew 2 by him and then tried to throw it the third one by him, and Beltran was right on it. 3-run pinch hit home run.
That one is drilled deep to right field. Going back, Bautista. Track. Wall. See ya. Deja vu. He does it again. And the Yankees have a 3-2 lead. And it got very quiet here at Rogers Center.
As that ball took off towards the Yankee bullpen in deep right center field, Beltran with his 17th home run of the season. Man, he has really played well over this last quarter of the season for the Yankees. He's been their most consistent hitter, come up with big hit after big hit. I think about the double he had against the Mets the other night.
There's a strike to Bird.
Let's take another look. Right down Broadway. And he knew it as soon as he touched it off.
You know, with his advancing age, you would think that fastballs could overpower him, but he has turned them around. Just doesn't swing that hard. He makes contact and the ball goes.
He's always had a quick bat, quick swing from both sides of the plate. Usually that's the thing that determines that you're going to stop playing, because your bat's not quick enough. But obviously to turn around 97, he still got it.
Sac fly in the first inning, home run here. That's his 60th run batted in of the year and his 17th home run. And remember, the month of April looked like he couldn't do it anymore. But since that point, he's been a 300 hitter for the Yankees and a very important player.
You know, another thing to consider about Beltran, and this shows you what type of player he's been over his career. He is the only active player who has a game-winning RBI against every team in the major leagues. And he completed that the other night with the Mets with that double. Put them on the ledger.
if this score holds up, he'll have another game-winning RBI against the Blue Jays.
Strike 3. Bird down looking. Another look at Beltran's swing. The replay brought to you by New York Presbyterian, the official hospital of the New York Yankees. Amazing things are happening here.
Yeah, amazing too when you're healthy. And talking to Kenny, you're talking about the catching up to a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Watching Carlos Beltran as he's locked in right now, he always looks balanced. He looks under control. And yes, he is able to catch up to a 1-0, 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Very impressive.
You know, the home run that he hit against the Blue Jays in the last trip here actually was a pinch hit home run. He was pinch hitting for Chris Young. And he hit the 3-run home run off Aaron Sanchez, and that quieted the crowd that night. So another 8th inning home run tonight gives the Yankees the lead. One and two. Chris Young might take over on right field. They have other options. Could be Slade Heathcock. Tighten up the defense. The 1-2. Swing and a miss. Headley down on strikes. We go back to August 1st. Pinch hitting. A 3-run home run. And tonight, a little bit of deja vu all over again. Right, Yogi? Bottom of the 8th. Betances takes over and he deals a strike to Pilar. New second baseman Brendan Ryan takes over for Ackley. And the new right fielder is Chris Young taking over for Carlos Beltran. That one is looped into right field and just eluded the glove of Ryan. A base hit for Pilar.
Pilar fights off the breaking ball here. He watch Brendan Ryan just in the game for Ackley. Kind of gets turned around, turns toward center field, and then has to spin back the other way. Maybe perhaps if he went left and went after it right away, maybe it added off the end of the glove, it looked like.
Here's Kawasaki. See if he bunts. Squaring. And he bunts back to Betances. He'll take the out at first as Ryan reaches for the bag and gets it. So the sacrifice successful. 1-4 as Pilar moves to second.
Throwing off his front foot, almost throwing it like a dart. Brendan Ryan had to get over there, hustle.
'68th game for Betances. Didn't pitch on Sunday, didn't pitch last night. And now he's got the tying run at second base here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ben Revere at the plate. Check swing fouled away, 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Getting on the same page. Pilar at second base, wanting to make sure exactly McCann does exactly what Betances wants to do. Runners in scoring position, excellent. Betances leads all major league relievers with 120 strikeouts so far.
Count 0-2. Swing and a miss, he got him. 2 away.
Well, we told you Revere's not an easy hitter to strike out. Ball's within the strike zone, and this one is. He has a 97% contact rate, but that wasn't an ordinary breaking ball. This one had a lot of break to it and came up there pretty hard as well, and Revere is struck out.
You read his lips, he said, what was that pitch?
It was strike 3.
Here is Josh Donaldson. A big-time, high-leverage matchup. Betances against Donaldson. Tying run is at second. Bottom of the 8th. The breaking ball misses outside. Donaldson 0 for 2 against Betances. The 1-0. 2-0. Since July 29th in these situations, Donaldson's hitting .477. Overall this year, .373.
And you get the view that third base coach Luis Rivera has at Pilar at second base.
Runner at second, 2-0 count. Pitch. Goes with another breaking ball and misses 3-0.
Well, right there it says a lot of the respect that Brian McCann and Betances has for Donaldson. 2-0 count after 2 sliders through another one. Does he have the green light? Say no.
Runner goes. Pitch is high. Stolen base for Pilar. As Donaldson walks on 4 pitches, and that brings up Bautista. go back to September 12th. Bautista against Betances. So Bautista has that in his holster. 3 for 7 against the Yankee right-hander in that 1 home run. First and third, 2 outs. The number 3 hitter is at the plate.
And just power against power.
Crowd of 47,992. Many, most standing. One and 0. Mile-an-hour fastball strike, 1-1. Two and 1. Pilar's creeping down third base, trying to distract Betances. Headley is deep and not able to really hold him on. Pilar's at third. Donaldson's at first. 2 men out. Bottom of the 8th. 3-2 Yanks. Three and 1. He walked him, bases loaded. And Larry Rothschild will talk with Betances. It'll be Betances against Edwin Encarnacion with the bases loaded.
As tough as this middle of the lineup is, and it's as good as any in baseball, Betances got behind each Donaldson and Bautista. I mean, even though he's throwing 100 miles an hour, take a look at the pitch by pitch. First pitch, curveball, and then a 1-0 fastball at 99 miles an hour for a strike, and then he went curveball again, which has got slider break. Threw another one that backed up. Now he's in that, do I throw a fastball or not? And he ends up throwing another breaking ball, fastball down the way, that is, and missed. So, kind of not pitched around him, but once he got in a hitter's count, was trying to put him away with his breaking ball.
Now the one thing here, if Betances can get out of this and he's got a tough hitter at the plate, he won't have to face any of these guys next inning, or Miller won't have to face any of them.
Encarnacion 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And the pitch. 1-0. Encarnacion is 3 for 10 lifetime against Betances and misses badly here.
Yeah, he just spikes that, big moment right here, trying to make that perfect pitch.
And he's lost the strike zone. 2-0. No place to put Encarnacion.
No defense for base on balls.
Whatever the strike feel pitch is, whether it's a fastball, trust it, or if you want to go with the breaking ball, this is a put the ball in play strike pitch. Went with the fastball.
99 miles an hour. So much riding on each pitch. The top 2 teams in the American League East. Blue Jays in first, Yankees chasing them in second, trying to creep closer, have a 3-2 lead. The 2-1. Blew it by him, 2-2. Now, Kenny, you know that Encarnacion's always hitterish. So do you go with the breaking ball here out of the strike zone?
Yeah, we saw early in the ballgame Severino get him to chase his slider down and away.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Pitch. He got him. He threw the breaking ball out of the strike zone, and Encarnacion leaves the bases loaded. Oh, what an inning for Dellin Betances. We're going to the 9th. Take a deep breath, everybody. Yankees lead 3-2.
At the plate, Betances has painted himself into a corner. And this is with the first one down and away. Fastball up. Watch McCann's target here, right down the middle. Give me your best fastball in their first strike. Let's go the same thing. Swing and a miss, strike 2. And Encarnacion doesn't get beat by a fastball. Chases the slider. Big strikeout in a big situation. Second time Encarnacion has struck out on a slider. Down and away.
Wow, what a spot. Oof. And that strikeout didn't just strand 3 base runners, but it pulled the plug on Rogers Center. It was deafening in here. Now very quiet as Drew Hutchison, former starter, takes over in relief, and he will face Chris Young. Swing and a miss. When Young came in for defense, Ryan came in for defense, and they have Ryan batting 5th and Young batting in Ackley's spot 8th. 3-2 Yankees lead on the Beltran home run in the 8th. Grounded foul.
I think Joe Girardi set it up this way because he feels Young has a better chance of giving them an instant run if he gets into one. Look at that record for Hutchison. He's 13-4, but he's been banished to the bullpen.
He was sporting a 5.3 ERA.
Yeah, he was probably, he and Burley, the best run-supported pitchers in the league. And Hutchison, while he's pitched well here at the Rogers Center, he's been abysmal on the road.
Missed outside.
And in fact, the Blue Jays sent him down to the minor leagues where they made a road trip, and when they came back, they put him back on the roster. They didn't want him pitching on the road.
And the count is full at 3-2.
I mean, his splits are amazing.
Checked his swing. They said he did not go, and a leadoff walk for Young. Boy, the Yankees would love an insurance run for Andrew Miller. As Kenny's pointed out, in the bottom of the 8th, they've cleared now that dangerous part of the lineup. So if you work your way through the bottom, you never have to see them again until tomorrow. Andrew Miller is ready, not just a spectator. Here's Didi Gregorius.
I would think the bunt is in order here for the Yankees, trying to pick up an insurance run.
And that was not a sacrifice. That was an awkward looking way to bunt.
Gregorius does have 3 sacrifice bunts this year.
He's stabbing at it. You got to get that barrel out, turn early, and catch the ball with the barrel. A little too late. Get out there.
Yeah, it's.
The barrel is back too far behind.
Yeah, he's punching at it. That's the formula for a pop-up.
The 0-1. Again, he punches at it. A foul ball. You hear a lot of people always say, well, why don't they bunt here? Why don't they bunt? Some guys can't bunt.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that's acceptable, that's a different story. But some guys can't bunt. He obviously cannot sacrifice.
Yeah, well, this is what it looks like. And punching at it, like you said, Kenny, is more inclined to pop it up or hit a real hard ball back at somebody. Yeah, not everybody can bunt. I'm saying it's right.
Chasing Young back. So he's not bunting with the 2 strikes. Good idea. The count 1-2. Yankees have plenty of depth on the bench, and if they wanted a stolen base, they could send in Rico Noel and then put Slade Heathcott in right field in the bottom of the 9th. But they're sticking with Young, who's got decent speed, but not like Noel. Two and 2.
Couple pitches down there. Didi Gregorius getting back into this count after flailing at 2 bunt attempts.
That one is driven out into right center field. On the run is Pilar. He can't get there. It goes into the gap, and it goes over the wall for a double. And that'll stop Young at 3rd.
Well, maybe it's a good thing he didn't get that bunt down. But the fact is that tonight, Gregorius has hit 2 ropes to the gap in left center field and couldn't get it by Pilar. This time he goes to the other gap, and he clears it. And now it's going to be 2nd and 3rd. With nobody out. There's the artificial surface factor. The ball hits and bounds over. Young would have scored easily if that ball stayed in the park.
So John Gibbons will make the walk to the mound, and he will go to the bullpen with Jacoby Ellsbury due up. Yankees have runners on 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out. Looking for insurance in a game they lead 3-2. a look at the playoff race, plus Joe Girardi's manager's report. It's all coming up on the WB Mason Yankees postgame, only on Yes. So they bring on a right-hander, Ryan Tepera, in his 28th game. A couple of left-handers waiting. On deck, first Ellsbury and then Brett Gardner.
The hard thrower coming out of the Blue Jay bullpen, Tepera, gets it up there 98 miles an hour.
Been primarily a starter in the minor leagues, but now working out a pen for the Jays.
Well, the Blue Jays bring the infield in for Ellsbury. Ellsbury is 2 for 3 with an intentional walk. And the pitch. That should get in a run, a fly ball, although Bautista has a good arm. He'll make the catch. Here comes Young. Here's the throw. Here's the play at the plate. He's out. Oh, what a throw. A 9-2 double play.
Well, second time tonight. Not thinking about a cutoff man. All the way on the fly. And Chris Young, who has decent speed, is cut down at the plate. How about Jose Bautista? People think he's just a slugger. Hits home runs. He's more than that. He's a good defender, and he's showing off a very strong throwing arm tonight. And accurate as well. He's getting an ovation from the fans out in right field.
Gregorius moved to third. The infield backs up. And the pitch to Gardner is low.
Wow, what a throw. Accurate, like you said, Kenny. Not only strong throw, accurate, right on the money.
That would have been a strike from right field.
The 2-0. Good block by Navarro. If you want to look ahead to the bottom of the ninth inning, Smoke, Navarro, and Goins. 5, 6, and 7 in the Blue Jays order. And a walk to Gardner, and that's going to bring up A-Rod, who is struggling. Alex walked and scored in the first, 0 for 3 tonight. In his last 12 at-bats, he struck out 6 times. And the last time in the 7th inning, he struck out with the bases loaded.
Well, the Yankees still looking for some insurance here. You've seen the companies. You've seen the commercials. Just pick a company. They'll buy from anybody.
Gregorius at third. Gardner at first. 3-2 Yankees, top of the ninth inning.
Alex got a good pass at that. Taparo, little over the place. Cutters, fastballs, he throws hard. That ball got in just enough. That ball is a couple inches further out over the plate. That ball's hit hard somewhere.
Two and one.
I don't think the Yankees would do this with Alex Rodriguez at the plate. But with 2 outs, we've seen them in the past try the double steal where they try and pick up a run here. That means Gardner would take off, hit for second, hope for Navarro to throw down. And then Gregorius would try and score from third base. In fact, a couple of years ago in Boston, saw Derek Jeter and Gardner work that play. Gardner was at third at the time. Jeter was at first. The Red Sox threw down to second. Jeter stopped. Gardner scored.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, top of the ninth, 2 on. Yankees lead 3-2. A-Rod at the plate. Fly ball, center field. Pilar is there. And the Yankees don't score. And a big reason why is that man's arm. He's hurt the Yankees twice. This one really stings. A 9-2 double play to take the starch out of the rally. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Yankees take on the Blue Jays in the series finale. Coverage will start at 6 with Audi batting practice today and Tri-State 4 pregame. It's right here on Yes. Got to get through this bottom of the ninth inning, though. And the Yankees played it out the way they wanted to. Severino gave them 6 strong. Justin Wilson pitched the scoreless 7th. Dylan Betances made you sweat. Elevated the heartbeat, but didn't allow a run in the 8th. And now Andrew Miller will come on and try to nail it down.
Well, you mentioned that, Michael. That has been the formula in close games. Wilson, Betances to Miller. You see the numbers. Phenomenal. 51 to third innings, 89 strikeouts. What a year Andrew Miller's had.
And he will deal with Justin Smoke. Smoke an RBI single. And 2 ground balls to short sandwiched around that single in the 4th. Miller deals. And a strike with the breaking ball. Swing and a miss.
Took something off that. That was 83 miles an hour. If you can vary the speed on his slider, or this is more like a curveball with 83. But he's got a nasty hard slider that's down and into right-handers as well.
And the 0-2. The fastball upstairs.
A low 3/4 slot from Andrew Miller and that sweeping breaking ball. Backdoors it to get in a strike and then inside to the righty.
Bottom of the 9th inning, 1-2 to Smoke. Inside, 2-2. The crowd seems poised, ready for something positive where they can get into the bottom of the 9th inning. Right now, kind of quiet, biting their nails, sitting on their hands as the Yankees lead 3-2. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. One away as Smoke down on strikes.
That's his sweeper. This is the pitch that Andrew Miller gets strikeouts with. He starts it off the plate. Usually right-handers will give up, and then that boring down and in slider break. Watch that pitch. Just corner keeps going in. What a pitch. 6'7" standing on the mound.
Here's Navarro. And the pitch. Plugged to left field. That ball is gone. A tie game.
Sunday, Navarro hit a home run against the Red Sox, almost to the same spot. There was something up in the zone that he jumped on Sunday. I believe that pitch was up here tonight.
And the Blue Jays go to their bench. Chris Colabello is going to pinch hit for Ryan Goins.
Yep, it was up. He's just making sure it stays fair. Second home run in 2 games for Deanna Navarro.
And a strike.
Coming right at you.
Strike 3, Colabello down looking. 2 outs.
I went back to the breaking ball. Slider, fastball, then slider inside corner. You see McCann sticking it. Let's see here. Just nips the corner. Because of the break, keep going in on the righty. Colabello did not think it was a strike. letting Chad Fairchild, the home plate umpire, hear it.
Here's Kevin Pillar, 2 for 2 with a walk. He homered off Severino in the third. This is just the second blown save for Andrew Miller all year. He has been near perfect. Russell Martin comes out on deck to pinch hit. And there's a strike. Pillar does not like the call.
Well, you start arguing like that or shaking your head. It was borderline. Pillar thinks it's low. You better start swinging at anything close. Yep, and he's doing it.
The 0-2. And the pitch. Grounded foul. Well, the inability to score those runs in the top of the ninth certainly has come back to haunt the Yankees with that home run tying the game. A 1-2. Line drive, a base hit, past Bird and down the right field line. Young gets it, flips it in. It's a double for Pillar. So the winning run is at second base.
Well, Miller made a good pitch. He jammed him. And I want to check out the positioning of Bird. Sometimes it will get you closer to the line. Even though there's a right-handed hitter at the plate, he fights this one off. Barely stays fair. You can see Bird is off the line. And that's going to turn this into a two-base hit. Yeah, you might give up the base hit to your right, but you don't want to give one up to your left. Pillar moves into second. And he's there with a double.
So they meet on the mound. And they had Russell Martin on deck to pinch hit for Kawasaki. Now they go to Matt Haig, who was the International League MVP. And 2 hits and 5 at bats up in the show.
Now the likelihood of Pillar hitting a ball where he hit it is very, very low. And that's why Bird wasn't off towards the line.
So they will intentionally walk Haig and take their chances with Ben Revere.
That's one reason why John Gibbons pulled Martin back. He knew with the base open they weren't going to let a right-handed hitter hit.
And they're going to call back Revere. And they're going to send Martin to pinch hit for him.
Yeah.
The luxury of September call-ups here. Rosters expanded, Ken, up to 40 players.
And they're pinch hitting for a guy who in his last 29 games was hitting .366.
So with the base open, they knew that Martin would be passed, sent down to first. So he holds him back and gets him up in a situation where he wanted to give him a chance of driving a run to begin with.
And the pitch to Martin. Now, Kenny, what I'm thinking is Girardi never thought they'd pinch hit for Revere, because wouldn't you rather face a rookie Haig then face Russell Martin with the game on the line.
Well, there's nobody warming up in the bullpen to count. You know, Miller's not coming out of the game. He gets everybody out.
But he liked the matchup of Miller against Revere rather than this one. We'll see how it turns out. 1-0 now on Martin. Two and 0. Pilar at second. He's the winning run. Hagues at first. 2 men out. Bottom of the ninth. 3-3 game. 2-0. Chops a breaking ball in there for a strike.
Good speed at second and Pilar. Outfielders are up a step. For a possible play at the plate.
3-1. 3-2. Well, now the possibility of cutting down Pilar is lessened because with 3-2 the runners will be going.
Now Miller's just stayed with that slider every single pitch to Martin. Does he throw it again?
Runners go. 3-2. He walked it.
All sliders and then went with the fastball. 3-2. Overthrew it. Byron Rothschild coming out. That chair, slider, and then just overthrew the fastball. He knew it. Well, as good as Miller's been. Matchup here against the possible American League MVP and a great closer.
So now the Yankee closer against the MVP favorite, Josh Donaldson. Donaldson's 0 for 2 lifetime against Miller. Great numbers lifetime with the bases loaded. Swing and a miss.
This game has been about as good as any drama you could have watched on TV tonight. Plenty of it. Good solid breaking ball with a swing and a miss.
Very few people sitting in this ballpark right now. And the 0-1. 0-2 on Donaldson. Bases loaded, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth, 3-3 game. And the 0-2. Check swing, did he go? No, he did not. Navarro's home run with 1 out this inning tied it. Blue Jays trying to win it. A 1-2. Swing and a miss. He got him. And we will have free baseball as the Blue Jays leave the bases loaded. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is a baseball game. Blue Jays have made some defensive changes. You've got Carrera now on left. Remember, Revere got pinch hit for. Pennington at short. Darwin Barney is at second. And the new pitcher is Lowe.
Wow. Really? There's playoff baseball right here, folks.
Lowe came over from the Seattle Mariners to bolster the Blue Jay bullpen. Hard throw with a good slider.
And a bunt by McCann against the shift. And the throw gets past Smoke. And McCann will reach on the bunt single.
We saw him do that in Tampa.
Yep.
The huge shift. Obviously the tie game. Extra innings. Look at the big hole right here. Get on base.
Think about it. I believe an accurate throw might have gotten him. And now a pinch runner for the Yankees.
And Rico Noel will pinch run.
And a pinch hitter for the Yankees.
Slade Heathcott is going to pinch hit for Brendan Ryan.
Let's see if the Yankees have Noel on the move.
One and 0.
Gets more win.
Navarro's done a good job of late throwing out runners. He's thrown out 8 of the last 15. He had a streak earlier this year where he wasn't throwing out runners particularly well, and catchers go through slumps too. They don't have their mechanics down.
Two great throws by Bautista. A couple of the reasons why we are here in the 10th inning. Runner goes, and the ball's fouled away.
Oh, catches interference.
Yep.
So Navarro's glove was ticked by Heathcott's bat, so the Yankees have runners on first and second.
This will be an error on the catcher. Just enough. And Navarro knew it too. He's trying to come out of there to make the throw to second base. I mean, he got too close to Slade Heathcote's swing. And contact was made, so now the Yankees have 2 on and nobody out.
And the pitch to Bird is a strike.
Donaldson was in at third. Now he moves back a couple of steps. Bird does not have a sacrifice at the major league level.
Oh, 2. One and 2 on Bird. Top of the 10th inning, 3-3 game. Yankees have 10 hits. The Toronto Blue Jays have 6. Two and two. Noel's at second with great speed. Heathcott at first. And they were worried about Noel as Lowe fakes him back. Steve Delabar up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays. That one is drilled to right field. Bautista back. It's over his head, over the wall. See ya! A big 3-run home run for Greg Bird. And the Yankees have taken the lead. They're up 6-3.
Well, it was just a matter of how far. It was obvious that Bautista was not going to catch it. And Bird with his second home run in 2 nights, and then yet another home run that gives the Yankees the lead. Was he pumped up or what? It looked like Lowe hung him a slider. After being down 0-2, count even to 2-2, he tried to trick him, and Bird was ready.
Home run number 10.
Wow.
He has 28 ribbies on the season.
Just a matter if it was going to clear the fence. Bautista was not going to catch it, and Bird could take the trip around the bases.
And there's a strike to Headley.
There's another look. Watch Bautista throw the glove up as if to hold the base runners. No holding them now.
And the 0-2. 1-2.
How big has Greg Bird been for the Yankees?
He's had 121 at-bats and 10 home runs.
And meaningful home runs. Game-changing home runs.
Kind of put a damper on the evening for some of these Blue Jay fans. And you know what really must be hard for them? A guy named Bird shuts down Blue Jay fans.
See what you did.
He's sitting right there. You had to hit it.
2-2. Count 3-2. "34th game, he has 10 homers and 28 runs batted in." 3-2. Grounded right side. There's one away. So Headley is 0 for 5. And John Gibbons will go to the bullpen. So he's going to bring in Delabar for Lowe. Yankees lead this one 6-3. We're in the top of the 10th inning right here on Yes. bunt single. And a couple of batters later, Greg Bird hits a home run, a 3-run shot. And with one out here in the top of the 10th, Steve Delabar comes on to replace Lowe, and Delabar will face Chris Young. So 6-3 Yankees.
Whew.
That almost got Didi in the on-deck circle. Swing and a miss. 0-2. There is nobody warming in the Yankee bullpen. Will they send Andrew Miller out for the 10th? Popped up. Navarro can't make the play. Had to navigate that camera and the stairs of the dugout. Just couldn't get close enough to make the play.
Here's another look off the bat. Chris Young. Gregorius getting out of the way. Here he comes. Look out. Might have had one more step.
And the 0-2. 1-2. High fly ball, left field. Carrera is there to make the play for the second out.
What a game. What a game. Just thinking about this inning starts off with a Brian McCann push bunt because of the shift. Almost was thrown out. Catcher interference, and then Greg Bird. What do you say about this young man?
Here's Gregorius, and he fouls it back.
This is a game that made two countries sweat.
One and one.
The obvious importance of this game. You got the Yankees had to win this to possibly win the series. With if it holds up, the rubber game tomorrow.
2-game swing for the Yankees. 4.5, 2.5.
1-2 on Gregorius.
Plus Joe Girardi keeping Andrew Miller out. He's had 28 pitches in that first inning.
This is all hands on deck series.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to push him a little further. You push him a little further.
This was the must-win game.
Grounded foul.
Just trying to stay loose on the bench. Doing a little stretching.
The 1-2. How about Didi? His last three at bats, a single, a double, and a single. And he was 3 for his last 26 before this 3 for 3.
Yeah, he started out 0 for 2, and he's turned an 0 for 2 into a 3 for 5 night. That's a nice comeback this evening.
Pitch to Ellsbury is outside, 1-0. It is very, very quiet in this ballpark, as many have headed for the exits. Fly ball shallow left. Long run for Carrera. He's there and makes the play. But the Yankees take the lead. Greg Bird hits his 10th home run of the year. A 3-run shot. Of his 10 home runs, 6 have given the Yankees the lead. We go to the bottom of the 10th.
No-brainer. How about Mr. Bird gets a changeup, something off speed out over the plate. We just saw it, a 3-run homer, his 10th on the year. I got to believe it's his biggest home run in this early Major League career with Greg Bird. That is your Land Rover drive of the game.
All right, Yankees need to get these 3 outs to split the first 2 games of the series. And the first pitch to Bautista is a strike. Miller threw 28 pitches in the 9th inning. But they have to have this win, and there aren't many pitchers out there that they trust other than the 3 they've used today. So they're going to try to extend Miller and hope that they have him tomorrow. Count 1-1. 6-3, Yankees lead.
Well, this time of the year, you assume nothing, and you worry about tomorrow. You got to win tonight.
There's a strike. John Ryan Murphy has taken over behind the plate. Stephen Drew is at second, and Slade Heathcott has taken over on right. The 1-2. Grounded to Drew. Gets a nice hop, and Bautista's out for the first out. Well, from what we've seen, this game is far from over, but this game really had a playoff feel to it. The fans here were unbelievable, so loud, and it just felt like a game that was important, and it isn't important. These 2 teams are battling for first place in the American League East. It's an important game.
Yeah, it makes you want to tune in tomorrow, doesn't it?
I'll be here.
Yeah, I know I will be. How about you, Al?
Yeah, I'll be here.
Okay.
But what a great atmosphere here at Rogers Center. People that are starving for the postseason have an exciting team, and boy, they made it loud. The 1-0. I mean, when Navarro hit that home run, you couldn't hear yourself thinking there. Three infielders on the left side for Encarnacion. And that one is drilled to left field. See ya! A home run for Encarnacion. And the Jays will not go down quietly.
That is number 35 for Edwin Encarnacion. Takes the Parrot for a walk. And now the Blue Jays have 3 players on their team with 35 or more home runs for only the second time in their history. Have to go back to 1998. Canseco, Delgado, and Green. This year it's Donaldson, Bautista, and Encarnacion.
Yankees lead 6-4. Here's Justin Smoke. And a strike from Andrew Miller. Oh, and 2 on Smoke. Smoke was the first batter that Miller faced in the ninth. He struck him out. But then Navarro connected for the home run to tie it. Nick Rumbelow is getting ready in a hurry for the Yanks. Navarro on deck. One-two. He struck him out. Blue Jays down to their final out.
Foul tipped into the glove of John Brian Murphy. Smoke got just a piece, but Murphy hangs on.
Well, Miller threw Navarro a first pitched fastball. And he deposited in the left field bleachers. Let's see if he pulls the straight first pitch here. Right out of this.
That pitch was down, as opposed to the one he hit for the home run was up.
Six-4 Yankees, 1-1 count on Navarro. 2 outs, bottom of the 10th. Fly ball, left center. Ellsbury is there, and the Yankees win 6-4. It took 10 innings and a gigantic home run for Greg Bird. A blown save by Andrew Miller, just his second, but he sticks around to get the 3 outs in the 10th. And the Yankees have evened this series and tightened up the American League East. And you know what? They talked about it before the game and after yesterday's game. This was a really important, almost a must-win for the Yankees if they have any thoughts about catching the Blue Jays.
It was a must-win, Michael. I mean, you see the way Joe Girardi handled his closure, 2 innings there. Without a doubt, if you're going to win the series, obviously they needed to win this game. This was a must-win tonight.
And again, the kids do what they have to do. Severino went 6 strong in a big game against a great offense. And then Greg Bird, who was taken over for the injured Mark Teixeira, who's out for the rest of the year. He just continues to rake, hitting big home runs. His 10th home run today, the 3-run shot in the top of the 10th, and 6 of those home runs have given the Yankees the lead. So